Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back. I have been doing a lot of sketches. We've had so many releases lately and so many sketchbooks recently that I just wanted to take some time to be a little bit creative on my own. And one of my favorite things to do is a card flip. So that's what I'm coming to you today. And I've had this picture for a really long time. It's probably one of my favorite pictures of me and James together. He was reading to me. I love to read. It's another one of my hobbies. I'm a huge reader, read over usually 100 books a year. So it was important to me that James learned to love reading, and this reflects that. And I've just had this picture sitting around waiting forever to be scrapped. And I found this card that I loved, and I thought, you know what? I think I could turn this into a statement page. And so that's what we're going to do today. So let me show you the card. Here it is. And I am going to try and make it happen. And I'm using the Natural Beginnings collection. I liked this paper because it has a big contrast, and that's something that we definitely need. And then the wood grain, it just matched my picture very well, and it makes my picture pop. So this is a super easy card flip that we're gonna do. And so the very first thing that we need to do is we need to bring in our trimmer, and we need to cut our paper in half. So I'm going to cut it at 6 inches, like so. All right, now I have two 6-inch pieces. Oh, and you know what? Before I do anything else, I want to cut off 1/2 inch off the bottom of each side. Okay. So now we're good. And now what we want to do is we want to take one of our pieces and we're going to line it up at 1/4 inch down. And then you're going to take your pencil and you're going to mark your pencil at 6 inches. And then you're going to go across the top and mark it at, for me, it's 9 inches, but you're going 3 inches over. And you're going to do the same thing on the bottom. You're going to go 3 inches over. So for me, it's at the 3 inches. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, line it up at 1/4 inch. Mark it at 6 inches. Then go over 3 inches and down at the bottom 3 inches. Okay, now let me move this out of the way and bring back in my trimmer. And now that we have my trimmer in, you're going to want to put in your scoring blade. And what we're going to do is we're going to score these angles. So you are lining it up at the 3 inch mark and the 6 inch mark on your trimmer. And then you're going to score. And then you're going to rotate it the other direction, line it up at the 6 inch mark and the 3 inch mark. And you should see where your other score line comes to, and you're going to score. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. We're going to line it up as 3 and 6. Score. And again here, 6 and 3, and score. All right, move the trimmer out of the way. Bring back in our paper. I'm going to use this wood grain as the base, and I'm going to have it run. Which way do I want it to run? I think I want to run it vertically. And then what we're going to do is, for me, I'm going to have the green on the base. You're going to take your paper and you're going to fold it on your score lines. And it should fold very easily. And that will be my left side. Actually, I'm going to switch it. I'm going to run it from the top. because I have a horizontal photo, I'm gonna run it from the top and the bottom instead of so mine is gonna go like this, and then my picture will go in the center. Oh, y'all, that looks cool. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to tape back my wings. I think I might want to cut just a little bit more off of mine. I'm going to cut a little bit off of this page just because I'm going to give myself just a little bit more room. So I'm going to cut off just 1/4 of an inch off of both sides. Oh. Make sure you take out your scoring blade and put in your trimming blade. That works better. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Then I'm going to bring it in 1/4 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch on the sides and up. I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, y'all, that looks so cool. And then I'm going to put my photo in the side. You know what? The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink my edges just so that they'll stand up a little bit. I should have done it before I stuck them down, but I didn't. So we'll go around the edges now. Just gives it a little bit of dimension. I didn't think I was going to be a big fan of the inking so much, but I mean, look at the difference. It really adds just a little dimension. It helps to elevate your pages. Just give it that little extra pizzazz. These are just little daubers. I got this at stampinup.com, but you can get them online at Amazon. You can get them all over the place. See what a difference it makes? It really does make a big difference. This is why I use repositionable. This is the Natural Beginnings, and the thing I like about this collection is it really is neutral. So you can use it with just about any photo that you may have that needs to be scrapped. So this is going to go in the center like this, and then it's just going to be time to embellish. I don't know. I kind of like these little, I don't have a lot of embellishments left. I've kind of used them, but I really liked one of the, I want to talk to you a little bit just about design technique just for a second. So when I originally put this on, I centered this in the center. But one of the things that you will often see with designers is that they move things just a little bit off center. So instead of keeping my picture in the center, if I just move it up a little tiny bit, now it makes it feel like it was intentionally designed and my picture's just not floating on the middle of the page. So that's just something to think about when you're putting your things together. If you just offset things just a tiny little bit, it'll really help to elevate your page a whole bunch. So I will push mine up just a little bit. And then, I don't know, you guys, don't have a whole lot left here. But I really love reading, so I don't know. This is where you play. This is where I literally just bring in embellishments that I have on hand and see what can work. And like I said, I really don't have a lot. I don't know where all my embellishments are. I'm looking for some other colors. Most of my stuff here is the same color. I've used a lot of what I've had on hand. Just trying to pop a little bit more color in there. Maybe looking like that. Maybe. I wonder if we add a little bit more dimension. Let me see. All right, so I had to go off camera and I found some different embellishments and I put this one together. I don't know, I just like this little, I like green. I want to add a little pop of color. So I like that. And I like that he's reading and it's our story. And I want to add in some more color. So maybe something like this. You know what? I am kind of not liking this because it is actually taking away from my design here. What if we rotate it and make it a little more vertical? And what if I cockeye the picture a little bit? Oh, see, I'm liking that better. Because now I can keep my dimensions in here a little bit better. I'm cockeying for you, Michelle. I'm giving it a little tilt just for you. Still like our story. Let's see, what else do I have? What else do I have? I have a little blue in this corner. We need to add a leaf to match that color corner. So now we're matching. Right? So I put blue, I have a leaf, I'm carrying a leaf. What else do I have? What else do I have? You know, so I wonder if this collection, okay, so basically we're at the point now where I'm just looking at here and I am trying to add dimension and make my layout more exciting, right? Because when we first started, it was looking pretty flat. So I'm now just trying to add interest and dimension. And how I do that is just by auditioning different embellishments onto my page. What do I like? What do I not like? Those kind of things. So right now, I don't like, it's just too linear. I don't even really know what the right word is. It's just too flat. And so to me, it needs a little interest on the outer edges to bring your eyes back into where my picture is. So this particular collection came with this, let me find it, the Sunrise Scallop BMC. And what if we add a little bit of dimension with the scallop? That might help frame it in and bring our attention back to the sides. So let me just really quickly, I'm just punching an edge and let's see what we think. So if we just add an edge to the side, now see, that automatically is going to bring a lot more dimension to the page, but I think we need to incorporate some more blue because I only have the blue in 2 places. This will help me add more blue. Again, I'm just punching. I don't have a full piece of blue, so I'm going to have to, if we decide we like it. So I've seen the, oh, see what a difference that makes? Huge, right? Such a big difference. Okay, so I'm going to trim these down. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm just trying to match up. So I just am giving it a tiny, oh, you know what I want to do first before I do that? Let's ink the edges, right? Because inking the edges is always going to give us more dimension. So that's an easy way when you're looking to add just a little dimension to your page and a little bit of interest. If you just add a little tiny bit of ink, and I'm using brown. This is kind of my go-to ink color that I use a lot. It's actually more of a caramel. All right, let me close up my ink pad. You all know that if you get ink pads, you should store them upside down. That keeps the ink at the top of the pad. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but I'm just layering. I gotta find one little tiny square. All right, and then I will trim this to size. I just want a tiny, tiny bit of an edge. Let me bring my trimmer in. I'm going to cut this right about just shy of 3/4 of an inch. I think that'll be, let me just look. I think that'll be good. Maybe just a tiny, oops. For some reason, it's not exactly straight. My paper. So I'm just trying to get my paper straight. All right. Move all that out of the way and let's look and see what we think. What do we think? What do we think? Oh, I'm liking it. Oh, and you know what? I have these extra little bits from where I just punched. And we can add these in. See, so now all I'm doing is I'm looking at my layout and I'm looking to see where can I add just a tiny little pop of dimension on here just to add more interest and still bring all of the attention to my photo, right? So the blue, and I'll do one on this side. The blue is helping to direct everybody back to my picture. Okay, so I like that a lot. I think I need at least one more on this side, but maybe I'll do 4. All right, so I'm gonna pause my video while I go punch a bunch more and then I'll come right back. So I'm back and I punched 3 more of these just to play with so we can see what we think. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go with 4, but let's start with 2. So here would be 2. Which is good, but this goes back to my uniform brain. And I think I'm going to want to frame the whole thing in. And just look what that does. I mean, just by adding this little tiny frame, it really draws your attention right to the star and into the center. It's now pointing everything into the center. Okay, what I don't like is that it's covering the edges of my star, right? And that's what we worked so hard was to kind of do this little pinwheel flap. So I'm going to give it just a tiny little snip here to try and make it just a tiny little snip on both sides. So that'll allow me to put this down on the edge of my paper like this, but I can still slide the pinwheel right on top so you don't lose the pinwheel effect. Star effect pinwheel. Oh, see, I like that. I like that very much. It needs to go just a little tiny bit deeper. And it's hard when things aren't put down. I've thought about getting one of those magnetic boards. I have an easel, but I find that it just doesn't work very well for me. But they have these magnetic boards, I guess, that you can use. I don't know. Has anybody ever used one? If you have, let me know what you think. All right. And probably what I'll do here is I'll go on top, under, on top, under, on top, all the way around so it's even. See what happens? See what happens? I struggle so much. Okay. I'm just going to put it here for now. You guys get the idea. What do you think? What do you think? I think this needs to come up just a tad. What do you think, you guys? I like how it looks. The only other thing that I will probably do is I will probably look for some gems because I do like gems. I might move this whole thing down just a tad. It's a little bit riding a little high. Maybe like that. And then I might foam these a little bit so that they do. I kind of like how they're kind of like fluffing up. So I might put a little foam under the edges to give them some more dimension. But yeah, and I'll probably, you guys know I'll probably ink all the way around the edges. That's probably the last thing that I'm going to do here. So yeah, this is the layout. This is what we're looking at. What I don't know is if I want to snip the edges up here too and put it on the top up here. I'll have to adhere everything down and then make that decision towards the end. But I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited with how this turned out. I think it's fun. It's different. It's not something I would normally do. It still highlights all of my papers, which is fun. Here, just so you remember, this was a card flip. Here was my original card that I started with. Okay, you guys, you know how it is. I took a picture of this and I was getting ready to post it, and then I was like, I still don't love it. So I made a couple changes. So I wanted to show you what I did. I felt like my pinwheels were too far out. When I looked at the original card, the pinwheels was in a little bit closer. So what I did was I lifted up my flap and I folded it at 1/2 inch over, which gave me this extra little bit of dimension. And so I liked how that looked. And so I went ahead and I added it to the top. So I took everything and I moved everything 1/2 inch in. And then I did foam square this and I foam squared my picture. So this is the final. It changed a little bit. This is what happens when I look at stuff too long. I still am going to end up inking around the edges, and who knows? I need to add some gems. Who knows what the final will be? Post back. I think those are the only two remaining additions that I'm going to do, is to ink the edge and add some gems. I'm much happier now with it being a little bit more narrow. So there's my final for now. And thank you for joining me and watching my creative process and seeing how I work. I literally am just always looking at dimension and how to bring more dimension to my page. So that's just done by trial and error. Really, it's auditioning embellishments. It's auditioning what you have. It's using the punch poop from when you cut your VMCs. It's just adding those little tiny touches until you feel like, oh, this is it. This is perfect. I love how this turned out. And I'm almost there. I think when I add a couple gems to my little clusters here, I'm going to be all set. All right, you guys, have a great rest of the day, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye.